I'm not good at drawing hands. We all know this. And I'm okay with that. But I can't practice drawing hands because I'm a creative soul, you know? I can't just be drawing hands. I gotta use my brain to create something. An innovator, if you will. That's who I am. So I've never practiced drawing hands, so you know I'm not that great. The solution for this is this guy. Yep. Just combined hand drawing with creativeness, and this is, you know, just about what you get. So today I'm going to be drawing who I like to call the handyman. Now the handyman is an interesting fellow because obviously his face is a hand. And he just has hands. So his thing is that he can grow a hand for any task he needs to have done. And if he doesn't need a task done, he can ungrow that hand. So basically, he can just be doing almost anything at one time. And so obviously, he's always doing stuff, and people around him always ask him to do stuff because they're like, oh, he's got all the hands he needs, you know, he's fine. But he's only got one brain, if not no brain, because his head is a hand. So he often gets exhausted and a little bit depressed. And that kind of wears down on him because everybody's asking him to do stuff because he's got so many hands, but he's only got one brain, so he can't handle it all. And so he ends up just, you know, going out by himself in the dark alone, maybe, you know, just chilling to relax. And you can see that he's tired very, very often. He's got bags under his eyes. He's just constantly tired because people are trying to get him to do so many stuff. So this poor guy, even though he has the gift of many hands, he unfortunately is always out. He's always burning out. He's always tired. And to compensate this, he often walks alone in the dark. He takes long naps in the middle of the day. He often doesn't come into work. He gets sick a decent amount of times. You know, it's not like unbelievably. I'm sure other people have gotten sick way more than this guy has, but he does seem to get sick an awful lot because he's overworked. And that is a shame, but fortunately he does have extra hands, so you know he does get a lot done, and he never feels like disappointed in himself. He's just always tired and, you know, out of breath and oftentimes sick, but he always feels content, I guess you could say. Like, you know, he's never like, oh man, I need to get stuff done, or oh man this, or oh man that. He's always like, you know, he's okay with his life at the moment, but he does seem to get very, very exhausted and sometimes to the point of, well, I'm not sure. Maybe he's been hospitalized. He's probably fainted before at work because he's doing so much stuff. And I'm sure it takes a lot of energy to manifest and control all the hands that he uses. He works in the office. He handles a lot of paperwork and he writes stuff down, types a lot. He can type and he can hold papers and he can drink coffee, all this all at the same time, you know? So it's like he can get a lot done, but it often wears on him because it takes a lot of energy to use all those hands and a lot of brain power to use all those hands. So oftentimes it can get overwhelming and exhausting. But fortunately, he is one of the most, if not the most, well-paid worker at the office. The boss thinks very highly of him. He's his favorite employee. He's given him several raises. He's the most well-paid employee. He has so many free vacation days. He almost never takes off work other than to recuperate from being exhausted. As you know, he does get sick very often. So he does take off days occasionally, but he still has a lot of unused free vacation days because he's such a hard worker. He often gets annoyed at people for dumping their workload onto him, but he can't help it. It's like in his DNA to help people, and he feels responsible almost because he has so many hands. He does get annoyed often, however, because he does wonder why they can't see that he is clearly overworked. But he helps them anyway. He can't help it. It's in his DNA. But he does try. He tries his best. He always works really hard. He's a hard worker. And obviously, because he's the best employee there. Many of the employees that work at the office are slightly lazy. Most of them are okay workers. You know, most of them do their job well. And they come in most of the days. But he is definitely the most a well-rounded and hardest working employee there. So the boss obviously thinks very highly of him, and he thinks very highly of himself. He does think he is a good worker. He's not like overly proud of it, and sometimes he is kind of ashamed of the fact that he has these hands, because he's just like, man, I wish I could, just work normally instead of having to do so much because I have so many hands. But that's just how he is. And I'm sure you guys are all wondering why that fire is there. I will just say right now, I don't know. I just drew that because he has a little cigarette in his other hand, and I was like, he had to have lit it somehow, and then there's the fire. So that's why I drew it. I suppose maybe some of his hands can manifest like specific or mystical abilities, depending on how tired he is. Maybe if he's got lots of energy, he can muster up a hand that has magical powers. But I don't know. I really just drew that to because he had a cigarette in his hand. That was literally the whole idea. But anyway, that is the handyman. A hardworking, tired, big. I forgot to mention he's a very large man. He stands about like 6'5". He's very bulky, muscly. But that's about it for the handyman. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please think about subscribing. Just like think about it, because like lots of times people will just glance over. They'll just be like, oh yeah, subscribe. Okay, pass it. Just give it 5 seconds, okay? Just think for 5 seconds. And now you can either subscribe or you can not subscribe, as long as you thought about it. But anyway, leave a like and comment, say something nice or say something mean. I really don't care. But do not hit the bell. I haven't said this in a while, but don't hit it. I hate that thing. I don't know why. But anyway, check out these other videos. They're really good. Maybe even better than this one. You'll never know till you check them out. But anyway, I'll see you next time.